See, Tony, I said I was gonna buy you a present for your wife. I get yelled at for it. This is what happens 26 years later in marriage. Just take heed.
Can you go make me my sandwich? Welcome to Fantasy Football. Football is thicker than blood. Week 11. My producer, my partner, the one behind the scenes. We finally have time to, you have time to come on the show. So happy to have you. Tony Calvis. Tony, how are you?
Really good. It's an absolute honor to be here. I'm sorry I couldn't be here sooner, but had a child 3 months ago, and
congratulations.
My time is now dictated entirely by that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but you haven't used that as an excuse yet. Your team is still doing pretty well, 6-4, two of the top receivers, second in the punter lovers division. Obviously, we have seen more of Sean using the excuse of, I have a kid, I don't have time, I just bought a new house, I have to do renovations. Like a lot of excuses there. But you haven't had any of them, and you've been doing well.
See, here's the thing. I was thinking about it from last week's video. I think you guys actually did uncover that Sean does have a second family somewhere that he had earlier, because he is way more put together than I am.
Yes.
With two kids, and so I think he's done this before.
Yeah, he was married before, I believe, was the conclusion we came to.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, yeah. And you're much younger and obviously much more successful for your age. Being a producer on a top viewing show, I think is the correct way to describe my show. Gets just so many viewers and so much ad revenue as well. But Tony, you're doing well.
Empire.
Yes. The kingdom is actually what I refer to it.
Yes.
Kingdom, but.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Tony, team's doing pretty well. 990 points, 928 points against. Sitting pretty in second in the punter lovers division. Looking good for the playoffs so far. How you been feeling this year about your team?
To be honest, I feel like this was I was less confident coming out of the draft this year than I have been in previous drafts. Something about the McGanns and the Bejos, you guys just flock right to all the
good players,
running backs, and then there's I'm more of a good quarterback, good wide receiver type of person, but
sure.
So the running backs, I feel like I've kind of having to make do with what I got. Brady also is not performing to the level that I was expecting, so luckily I do have a round enough team to make up for those shortcomings.
You definitely do. I mean, Thielen and Brown have been absolutely phenomenal. Zach Ertz has also been pretty strong for you. Huge week last week I believe give you the win.
And by the way, for Juventus, that's the very reason why you don't have multiple players from one team, because you're automatically fractioning how effective your team is going to be.
Tell him, Tony. Get him, Tony. I'm actually in his room right now, so he's not here. But to get him, Tony. Okay, all right, yeah, Juventus. And Juventus is on a current 4-game losing streak after starting off the season so hot. And even though he does have one of the least amount of points against still in the league. So you hate to see that. But if I may, let's go over some scores real quick. Tony, start the music. Jacob Bake falls to Yogurt March, Nate Lanneman, 92-90, and some BS. I won't get into it, but basically Sterling Sharp got a touchdown and one 20-yard rush, and that put him over the edge, and it shouldn't have happened, and Jacob Bake lost, but it wasn't his best week anyways. It doesn't matter, but it barely a loss. Juventus falls to Dadbot. Dadbot Zach Ertz has a great win. 26 points from Zach Ertz as top scorer, carries him over Juventus. Juventus falls to 6-4. Scottsdale Dadbot's up to 6-4. LGM continues to put up big numbers, big time, following putting up 122. Team Bad Patty having a good fight. Mitch Trubisky putting up 38 to give him 94, but it's not enough. His Team Bad Patty falls to 1-9. Duke of Berkshire and Bulletin Board Material have a shootout in Indiana. No, they're both not. They're both from Indiana, and Duke of Berkshire wins 125, 121, and then Public Enemy number 1 dominates Colin. Colin falls to 3-7, 110-70. Sean Romano losing grasp of a playoff spot, losing 123-84 behind a big 41 points for Birch Lake, Michigan Vice Fleet. Uncle Pat continues to cruise. Whew. Tony could stop the music. I feel that we have a pretty good grasp of whose team is where now. Obviously, we still are seeing injuries. We're recording this a little early, but Le'Veon Bell did not report, so obviously helpful for me. Sean's team, his team is still obviously good, but he doesn't have that extra running back, and Phil wins that trade long term. But, he's still kind of struggling. We kind of see who the top four are the bottom three teams are going to be, but who that fourth is kind of up for grabs right now.
I agree with everything you said.
C-Mac Attack and Sean Romano, I mean, they definitely still have a chance. Team Patty's out, but, obviously it's going to be a fight to the end. I'm playing Phil this week, so... he's got to win that one, and C-Mac Attack, I think I play also. But right now, Elgin is currently out of the playoffs, even though he is one of the top scorers. But because of matchups, he's the fourth one out, I believe. And to be clear, it is the bottom four teams, not necessarily the bottom two from each division. So as a
it is.
Yes.
Wait, was that decided?
Yeah, it's how it has been for a while. It's not like we changed anything.
Gotcha.
It's just a reminder. But I mean, we're still gonna have a close battle because we still have 3 5-5 teams, and then 2 3 6-4 4 6-4 teams. So like that could very easily change right now, and it's gonna be a tight race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. This has been a very exciting season.
Yes.
Maybe a little less heated with Public Enemy not being as active in the chats, but even so, Halloween, I mean, you guys were going nuts over trades, and you were missing one of the best trades going on right outside your door. You just say trick or treat, and you get free candy.
Yes, that's a great point.
That was a trade you guys should have been jumping on, but otherwise, it's been a good season so far.
How much has it helped? Like, would you say one of the reasons you keep having kids is that you have a more prolonged time where you are allowed to go trick or treating? You personally.
Yeah, so it's twofold. Number one, being able to trick or treat and getting back into that system, and obviously Halloween is different for the age groups too.
Sure.
So Halloween for the little one is a different experience than Halloween for the 3-year-old.
Sure.
So you kind of get two experiences for one like that. But then every day except for Halloween, your time is completely managed by other people. So when you get these blips of getting to work on fantasy football, it's like Malcolm Gladwell's blink, just your split-second decision. That's the decision you go with. Mm-hmm. You get pretty good at that.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And also, you got the whole, you can get the whole, you can't have candy past 8 and just steal a bunch of candy from your kids, right? Or, you're not allowed to have Reese's or something for some ridiculous reason. I imagine that parents just make it up. It's like, oh, you're allergic to peanut butter or something. And then you
that's exactly what we do. We have Ellie convinced she's allergic to tree nuts, and then we take all the candy for ourselves.
Yep,
so
perfect.
That's how we go about it.
Genius. Let's get to some predictions, I guess. First game, we got Jake and Bake for Sean Romano. Wait, should we do it? I guess now that we have standings, let's go to Colin real quick for some stats. I mean, we got to go to Colin. We'll be right back.
The first max stat is brought to you by Gordon.
C-Max Stats.
The most points ever scored by any team in the regular season was Joe Bajo, the Taste of Champagne. In 2014, he scored 1,390 points.
Max Stat.
But I wonder who won the championship that year.
C-Max Stats.
This year, Jake and Bake is on pace to break that record by 300 points.
Max Stat.
That's not collusion. What is? Only in one season did the leading scorer in the regular season actually win the Super Bowl. That was Jake and Bake in 2016.
Max Stat.
The worst record ever by a Super Bowl champion was Joe Romano last year. Public enemy number 1 had a record of 5-8.
Next up.
In fact, the combined record for all the Super Bowl champions is actually just 57-44.
Next up.
Albert. The lowest seed to ever win a Super Bowl was an 8 seed. That was El Jim, youngest our best, in 2010.
Next up.
From Denver, Colorado, this is C-Max Stats. Back to you, Jake.
C-Max Stats.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Colin, for those great stats. A pleasure as always. I'm loving this new segment. Tony, just a reminder of some of the stats he brought up that I thought was very interesting. Only one team who has scored the most points during the regular season has ever won it all. So showing that playoffs are completely in, just a brand new game. An 8 seed has won it before. My dad won it the first ever season as an 8 seed. The only person to ever win it as a with the highest record, with the best record, or with the most points, I believe, or best record, I'm not sure, is me. So I mean that makes sense. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you're setting yourself up well for this year as well.
I'm hoping so. But it's definitely an open book, and even as Colin has said, anything can go. Joe Romano won it last year as a lower seed in the playoffs. I think he was 5-8. He has the worst record to ever win the championship. So I mean, it's even when we're there, you never know, and you got to be nervous. But let's get to some predictions. Tony, I mean, you could win your first this year. Still, I mean, your team's very doable. Jake and Bake for Sean Romano. I'll say a must-win for Phil. He does have his team pretty set so far. I mean, Marlon Mack and Peterson could put up some big numbers. The only thing I'm currently concerned about with my team, I think it's better. Actually, I kind of like Phil's team, if I'm being honest, is that in the Rams-Kansas City game, it might be played in Mexico City, and some of the players talked about potentially sitting out. So, I mean, that might not bode well for me, figuring that I got Mahomes, Gurley, and Cooks all from that game. But I do have backups in place, Carson Wentz and Dalvin Cook, if I do want that. And granted, it is early. Maybe there are some players I can pick up off the waiver wire. But I'm taking my team here in this game. And unfortunately, I think I might bounce Phil from the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to echo you. Phil's obviously not been doing so well, so even though he's got a great team, not using it properly, obviously. Now, am I seeing correctly that you have a handful of injuries here?
Yes.
How have you been this season with injuries?
Pretty lucky. I mean, I had Jay Ajayi obviously tore his ACL. David and Dalvin Cook has been hurt for a while. And Stephon Diggs hasn't played. So like here and there, it's been, people who have been getting hurt, but pretty lucky so far. I do think it is worth noting that Phil made some pretty big trades, to make his team better, and did with what he could, figuring though he was the second overall pick, but got Le'Veon, and Le'Veon, never played a snap. So, I mean, when you don't have a first-round pick, that's tough on your team, obviously, and made some big trades for Devontae Adams, Juju Smith-Schuster. Getting Adrian Peterson, I think, was big. Robert Woods, I think, will be more of an impact now that Cooper Kupp is out for the Rams offense. His team is strong, and I'm definitely not counting him out of this game. I think he could definitely pull it upset here and win this game, but I'm taking myself here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you as well. And as we know, I have a perfect picking
I was about to say that, so it's worth noting, Tony, you are the only person to have a perfect record in guessing games. Do you want to comment on that, or is it just like, it's another day at the office?
We'll see. We'll see if the magic, if the magic is no longer part of me now that I have a son, like passing on a lot of the torches to him. So maybe. Sure. Maybe my time is up with all that, I'm happy to take in sponsorships and endorsements for choosing teams still until that magic is proven wrong. But yeah, I'm going to go with your team.
Thank you. Yeah, and also I do think it's worth. This is like huge. Is that you have? I don't know if you remember, but Uncle Tom, he was part of our league with possibly one of the greatest team names of all time, Las Cucarachas. And I think that's got to pass on to your son, Tom, as well. And so he's got a lot of Las Cucarachas blood going for him. So not only do I think he will make a great manager one day, but you also got that as like, that's going to help you propel. I'm sure you probably pick your roster every week with him. But if you don't, I'm saying you should. Just real quick.
No, I take his little baby finger and I hover it over the phone, and then wherever it drops,
it's like a Ouija board type of thing. Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Elgin versus Juventus. Big game. Juventus on a 4-game losing streak. Oh my God, he scared me. Juventus.
Get a sandwich.
Okay, thanks.
You gotta eat it hot.
Okay. Do I have a drink? Did you give me a drink?
No.
What? What, am I supposed to eat this without water?
Yeah, you're supposed to drink it without water.
What's on here?
Mozzarella cheese.
Okay.
It's a meatball sandwich.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we can make this a cooking show if you want.
Much more entertaining.
Oh, okay. All right, Jim. Don't come at me like that. I'm going to take L. Jim's team because every time I pick his team, he supposedly loses.
Gosh, this one was a tough one. I want to go with Joe. I think I'm going to go with Joe. Joe should have won the other game. Maybe he'll take my advice and, get some of the Eagles off of his team so that he can actually fill with better players, or at least more frequented players. Because, if he just did that one thing last week, it would have he would have easily beaten me. I feel like I got lucky that week. And Jake, I meant to talk to you. How do we see this whole fantasy or FTTB Marvel crossover? Because I didn't realize that we were going to have Wolverine as a character on the show.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll have to talk about that offline.
We will, but we definitely are going to have to get the rights or something because the only thing that it must be an alternate universe Wolverine because he's clearly not invincible. He's clearly not muscular. He clearly doesn't have vibranium or maybe it's adamantium in his blood. But he definitely the looks. It's just like it's not even close. It's too much. Let's talk about it off screen. But I agree. Thank you. We are going to have to get the rights for that because. But is Wolverine good at fantasy football? So far, yes. Granted, he had Philip Lindsay on bye, who he just acquired in the trade. You could say he definitely lost that trade to Phil last week with Devontae Adams and Matt Breida for Philip Lindsay and Lamar Miller, Devontae Adams and are we drinking? Are we is that whiskey?
Oh, yes.
Wow, Tony, I love it. Okay, yeah, that's the only way to get through it with having a kid. It's just a little whiskey. I got you. That's what you said. You were like, I got to do the fantasy football video.
We had to cut one of our own players at work today.
Pour one out for him.
Day,
yeah, pour one out for him.
Wrapping it up with fantasy,
of course.
And,
in all seriousness,
I don't know. I want to go Joe, so I'm going to go Joe.
Yeah, I think so too. I am going to go with Joe. I think Nick Chubb on a bye hurts. He's been solid. Cooper Kupp tore his ACL, so he's out now. So that's a big wide receiver, and he's got AJ Green who's hurt. So that obviously hurts his receiving core pretty bad. I like Juventus' team here, and I think he's going to bounce back from this 4-game losing streak. Bulletin board material versus Team Bad Patty. Bad Patty's team, I love it. I do. He's done the best with what he's got. Lots of injuries here. Lots of bye weeks. I guess Cole's got some bye weeks, but it seems like he has the people to do it. Mitch Trubisky's been good, though. And David Johnson's been pretty good. Randall Cobb, I know, isn't going to play, though. So he will have to shift him out. George Kittle has been a solid tight end. I'm going to take Cole here. I think just the buys, the injuries is too much for Uncle Joe.
Yeah, has Joe had Trubisky the whole time, or did he trade for him?
No, he's had him the whole season, and he's been doing really well for him. He's a top quarterback for sure. He's currently the 6th best quarterback
Yeah, well, he had that week 4. He has 43 points.
I mean, last week he had 38.
Yeah, no, I mean, great QB to have. Way better than Tom Brady, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no,
let's not make it all about you, Tony. But okay.
What's it?
I said, let's not make it all about you. No, I'm not as good as Tom Brady. We're doing this game. We'll get to your game.
I won't mind too much about my points against like Colin does.
But, okay, yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Cole too. Although the one week I did play Team Bad Patty, he almost beat me. I mean, I had a terrible week. So as long as Cole doesn't have a terrible week like I did, I think it's pretty clear that he will come out victorious.
And Cole is, I believe, kind of up there in points. One of the top points getters for sure. Team Bad Patty put him 90-something against whoever he played last week. And so I believe it was my dad. So, but just, I mean, he can put up numbers, but I think that the injuries and the bye weeks are going to hurt him this week.
And also, so he's got the bye weeks, but then also, did Cole find his Chromebook charger?
Okay.
Because that will play a part in...
Yes. And obviously, Cole Nategate lives on because someone saying that isn't a scandal created by Nate is, you're not going to fool me with that, because I see right through it. He stole it, or somebody stole it. He paid one of the brothers or the sisters to steal it. Like, that's 100% it. He's jealous. We've talked about it. Cole gives off is rocking this Floyd Mayweather-esque, Conor McGregor-esque personality. And I would get annoyed too,
especially coming off of last year's victories. And job well done. Really being the full manager of
Birch, Michigan, Vice League, sure, yeah. I agree. No, I agree. Yeah. But I mean, maybe I'll have to investigate that as commissioner. I'm not sure, because I think I am supposed to investigate that stuff. Because like every now and then I'll add points to my team, or like I'll switch somebody out on the team I'm playing. That's not that big of a deal.
As any commissioner should.
Sure. But like once other people start doing it, it's like, where does it end? So I can't be having that happen.
Yeah.
So I might have to investigate that, but please don't do that, because that's more work for me. Joe Romano versus Duke of Berkshire, and what I think I'm going to call game of the week. I think I am. No, I don't think it matters for much. No, actually no. I'm not going to call it game of the week. I changed my mind. This is going to be a good game though. As long if Joe puts in a defense, I think that'll help him a lot. Obviously, I don't really know who his kicker is or if he does anything. Sean's team is strong, and I like his matchups. But then again, so is Joe's team. I'm going Sean here, I think. I like Andrew Luck against Tennessee. I think Saquon puts up some numbers. DeAndre against Washington should be some good numbers. Ebron's been an absolute monster, so he's got that Luck to Ebron thing going on. He does have his 2 Patriots on bye. I don't think it's going to affect him that much. I'm going Sean on this one.
Yeah, I would agree, and I'm not entirely sure why Public Enemy doesn't have a fond sentiment towards dad bods, because I've never really had a major problem with Public Enemy by any means, but I don't know if maybe it was the almost doubling his score from when I played him this season.
Yep.
That might have done it, and
sure.
I didn't even need my kicker defense. Sure. I just had them there as icing on the cake at that point.
Of course.
But,
and he is notoriously petty.
Yeah,
so that could very well be it.
So I hope his team does well. I'm still going to go Sean as well. I think Sean does well when he's slightly at a disadvantage. See, as soon as he's at an advantage, like
sure.
He had a 40-point lead on me 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
That obviously went down in flames. But here he's got a few disadvantages to him, but I think that he's going to come out strong, especially with Luck. I've been impressed with Luck's performance this year as well. And I wouldn't have typically thought much of him in previous seasons,
yep.
But yeah.
You could definitely say that Sean won that trade for Andrew Luck for John Brown, because and the waiver slot because though Uncle Pat did pick up Aaron Jones, who the Packers are trying to get the ball, but 2 more. I think he just dropped John Brown because I think Joe has him now. So when you get a top 5 quarterback for basically nothing, that's pretty helpful to your team. On top of it, he's got 2 pretty good running backs and some good wide receivers. Not to say Joe doesn't. Joe Romano, obviously Melvin Gordon has been dominant this season. Julio Jones just caught his first touchdown. Tyreek Hill is just so fast. We talked about how the trade hurt him. And Phillip Rivers has been pretty good. He is.
Hill was amazing.
No, he is fast. Am I faster than him? Yes. Yeah. Am I D'ing him up? Probably. No. Right? You have to. Okay. Duke of Berkshire. I'm going to call this the game of the week. Colin versus Uncle Pat. No, I'm not. I think this is an important game. This is an important game. It's, again, must-win territory for Colin. This is tough because Leonard Fournette came out last week and was an absolute monster. Aaron Jones is supposed to get the ball some more. Michael Thomas and Deshaun Jackson, are big names for them. But he's got the Ben Roethlisberger who put up huge numbers last week. Colin does have Kareem Hunt who's looking for a bounce back week. T.Y. Hilton, he's got Andrew Luck throwing and he's been throwing well. Cam Newton against Detroit's defense who hasn't been doing too well. Cam Newton could potentially put up some big numbers. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to beat a strong Birch Lake, a cocky, dare I say, Birch Lake team who's on a 4-game win streak. 4-game win streak, though, in a must-win territory. I think Uncle Pat's going to win. I do. But I'm taking Colin.
Fair enough. Well, this is the game I've actually been thinking of the most, especially knowing that I'm going to be speaking on this game. So I got a quick story.
Of course.
About a week or 2 ago, I get a call from Uncle Pat, just out of nowhere. I'm leaving work, and I get a call. It says Pat McGann on my phone. And I thought, that's strange. I don't normally get a call from Pat, but, I'm more than happy to take it. And he calls me up, and he says, hey, it's Thursday. Not sure if you know this, but Antonio Brown got arrested on his way to practice, so I don't know if he's going to be playing today. You might want to change him in your roster. And I thought, you know what? I really appreciate that. That was very kind of you, helping a fellow football owner, football team owner out on that. Mm-hmm. So if there is any magic left in my picking, I would like to give it to Pat because he helped me out, so I'm going to help him out as best as I can.
Okay. Am I going to say this is collusion? Did you incriminate yourself?
It's all news. It was all public news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we do have record. Yeah, we do have Uncle Pat's call records on publicly known. That is on our league. No, it's not. Antonio Brown also, he got arrested for speeding or something, right?
Yeah, a very, very minor offense, considering football player criminality activities. Mm-hmm. But, okay. Doing something like over 100,
Sure, yeah. Which anybody does. Who doesn't drive over 100? But okay. Yep. You got to give it to Uncle Pat. His team has been hot, and it's hard to take him. And like I said, I kind of think he's going to win this game. Fournette being back is huge for him. Huge. And Aaron Jones should be getting the ball more. So he's got 2 running backs. He's got 2 pretty solid wide receivers, and Big Ben's been big. Ben, he's the number 4 quarterback. 41 points last week. I'm just going to go with it, Colin. He seems to play, pull these out of his hat. But it's definitely a must-win. I'm going to go game of the week. Dad Bod's Yogurt March. I'll tell you why this is game of the week. Because...
Why is this game of the week?
Can I tell you why? Why this is game of the week?
I'm here.
Okay. This is game of the week because both teams are still not out of the fog yet. Both teams here are in trouble playoff position-wise. Not out of it, but definitely a little bit in trouble. I think that it matches up pretty well. He does have James White on a bye, which I think hurts him. He definitely needs to pick up a kicker. Joe Mixon's pretty good. I think he has you in running backs. If he can pick up a decent one, Kerryon Johnson. Oh, I guess he could move Kerryon Johnson and put Alshon into his flex. I think that his running backs are a little bit better than your running backs. Obviously, your wide receivers are much better than his wide receivers. Tight end, I'm going to say it's a wash this game. Not in general, but this game, I think G-Rag gets a touchdown. Defensive kicker, Harrison Butker is a good kicker. I don't know how Suckup's been doing. And the Packers D is playing Seattle. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do. And what if the Redskins D? I'll call those washes. Matt Ryan versus Kirk Cousins. You're starting Kirk against a tough Bears defense. A tough Bears defense, whereas Matt Ryan is playing Dallas, and Matty Ice can throw the ball. Tony, I mean, it's hard to pick against you, so I'm not going to. I'm going to take you here, but I think this is game of the week, and it's definitely going to put Nate in a playoff, who's going to need a playoff push at the end of this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I echo that this is the game of the week, but I certainly hope that my team comes through. I mean, Kirk Cousins has been performing well.
Yep.
You know, he has been a great second QB2 for me, especially with Brady not doing so well.
And you got
Royce Freeman, I'm a little worried about, just because he, coming off of being hurt, but I'm hoping that he had almost a month off.
I think he's also a backup.
I'm hoping that. Sorry, go ahead.
I think he's also a backup, technically. Royce Freeman.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, as I said in the beginning, I don't really have too many choices when it comes to running backs, so I got to make do with what's available. But yeah, I mean, I finally have Antonio Brown and Adam Thielen on. And neither of them have bye weeks, and that was hurting me for a little while because there was a period where one was on a bye week, then the next one, and that definitely hurt. But having the two of them plus Ertz, I mean that will get a majority of my points right from there.
Yep.
So I don't know. I have a lot of confidence in my team. I certainly hope to see myself firing on all cylinders again, like I was earlier this season. So I'm going to go with myself on this one.
I think so too. I think that'll give a pretty big, be a big win for you, put you in a great spot coming with 2 weeks to almost secure a playoff spot. I don't know who is. I know I'm pretty sure Bad Patty is out for sure, and then I don't know if anybody is in for sure. Obviously, Sean and I are very close. A win for each of us here, I think, would do it. Just because 2 weeks left, based on who we play and stuff like that. Not that it matters. I know that obviously Sean Romano and Colin are in must-win scenarios, but they might play each other at some point. I'm not really sure on that. But we've seen some high scores so far. We got 5 teams over 1,000. You're right there at 990. Colin, again, he is the only one of 3 teams over 1,000 points against, but he doesn't have that many points for, so it's can't complain. Cole's team has been struggling with how many. He's just been getting a lot of teams putting up numbers against him, and so not much you can do there. But any last closing comments, things you'd like to get out there, things you want to talk about, Tony?
No, I think my allotted time away from parental duties is coming to a close here fast.
Yeah.
So, if I just cut out, it's because my, Tana cut the internet to make sure I got off of this in time.
Sure.
So, just forewarning. But
Gotcha.
but otherwise, no. I'm very excited to be part of the Football's Thicker Than Blood weekly show, and usually I just deal with the behind the camera stuff, and it's fun to get out there and do some predictions.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously you're perfect in predictions, so I mean, we love having you. I believe that sometime I don't want to give a definite date or show when it's going to happen, but we are going to have an updated intro, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Which
yes.
I'm very excited for, having everybody's new faces on. I know my brother Joe is really excited to be on it, first time ever. Hopefully. Maybe don't put him on it. That would be kind
absolutely
of fun. Wolverine, or maybe put in a Wolverine. Just put Wolverine in instead.
Gotta use that celebrity endorsement.
Yeah, of course, Hugh Jackman, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to be a close race for those who are in it. Those who are kind of separating themselves, Dad Bods, Public Enemy, Birch Lake, and Joventus. This would be big wins for them if they could pull away here. I think they would really separate themselves as putting themselves in the playoffs. We are seeing some of the highest scoring, some very close games coming down to the wire. It's been quite nerve-wracking, lots of fun. Tony, thank you for coming on. It was so much fun as always. And hopefully we'll get you on sooner. Maybe. Oh, I'll actually be in Arizona December 14th, just FYI. So maybe we could do a live show.
Nice.
You and Kathleen,
okay.
or you and Tom. It would
be
be a lot
great.
of fun, I think. And
Yeah.
and
Well,
hopefully we're both
Bill's,
there.
Bill's boycotting the NFL, so we'd have to switch over to college ball.
Sure.
If you
Yeah,
want,
because
going
college
off
ball
football,
is much more okay. Ohio State and Maryland and, Brian Kelly killing the kid. That's totally fine. But when the NFL is, sure. Again, I'm not heated. Notre Dame's trash. I'm not heated. Tony, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure as always. Best of luck, everybody, in Week 11, and we'll see everybody next week.
Take it easy.